everyone. Today I'm super excited to be talking with my absolutely stunning sister, Daniella Clarke. Now, Daniella is a fashion visionary born of a rock and roll fairy tale. While on a family vacation in California, Daniella was walking down Hollywood's Walk of Fame when she met and fell in love with a local guitar player named Gilby Clarke. Soon after, the couple hit the road with his band Guns N' Roses. While on tour, Daniella was inspired to start designing after people kept asking about her one-of-a-kind jeans. She launched the Frankie B brand named after the couple's daughter, Frankie, in 1999. As the founder and president of Frankie B, Daniella revolutionized the denim market, creating the instantly recognizable low-rise silhouette that defined an era. She built an international brand around LA's free-thinking rocker chic spirit with one guiding design principle. When you turn around and look in the mirror, you want a good view. Jennifer Lopez wore the brand's jumpsuit on the cover of her 2001 album, Love Don't Cost a Thing, which landed the label's name all over billboards in Times Square. And soon, Frankie B became the go-to for women in Hollywood and beyond, including Kate Moss, Sienna Miller, Miley Cyrus, Kate Hudson, Megan Fox, Fergie, Katie Holmes, Jessica Alba, and many others. Under Daniella's guidance, the brand grew into a lifestyle concept, generating more than 200 million in sales, selling denim, more than 1.5 million pairs, tops, bottoms, dresses, activewear, and eyewear in 4,000 doors worldwide. Daniella took part in Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in Los Angeles and was featured in Vogue, Glamour, Elle, People, InStyle, Time, and numerous other fashion and lifestyle publications. As a style expert, she appeared on America's Next Top Model, Access Hollywood, Extra E, and CNN. Daniella was a leader in reviving the denim industry in Southern California and elevating the market as a destination for premium products and trends. In 2004, Daniella was awarded the Matthew Fashion Innovator of the Year award for her contributions, and 3 years later, she was honored with a media award from YME National Breast Cancer Organization for her support and dedication to the charity. After selling Frankie B in 2011, she embarks on the next chapter as creative director for iconic activewear brand Solo. Clarke was recruited to redirect the brand in 2014 and became a partner in 2019. Wow, that is very impressive.
I would love for you to just narrate my career for me as I walk into every room, please.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited.
I know this is so fun. I've never talked to you on this kind of
professional
level or whatever.
I know it's going to be really fun. Yeah. Guys, please do stay tuned. Daniella, as well as being a rock chick and a hugely successful designer, she's also a phenomenal business person as well. So really stay tuned because you're going to learn so much, and we're going to dive deep into lots of questions that people want to know the answers to. So incredible story, and I'm so blessed to be part of your family. Now, why don't you share how it all started? Because how did it start?
Okay, so it's kind of a wild story, but I'll try to sum it up kind of quickly.
Okay.
But I think I've always had an interest in fashion. Since I was young. My mom bought me a sewing machine when I was 12 years old. And so I used to kind of attack my mom's linen closet and just for fabric. So she would come home and look for something in her closet and be like, where is that? I'm all, oh, wow, that's now a mini skirt or a pair of pants. So I would attack her closet and the linen closet. I would just always look for fabric in my house that I could sew together or disassemble. And then once I got older and I met Gilby, and which is a whole other story in itself.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as well because everyone wants to know that too. Yeah, go on.
Do you want me to talk about that first? Okay, let me see if I can squeeze that in. So okay. my dad my parents were going through divorce, and I was 16 years old. My dad was living in America. I was living in South Africa. And I wanted to see my dad over summer break. And so my mom allowed me, my brother, and my sister to fly out to America to spend the summer with our dad. And my sister was, I'm 5 years older than her, so I was 16, she was 11, my brother was 14. And we flew to America, and we were visiting with my dad. My dad suggested that we go see the Hollywood Boulevard and see the footprints of the stars and everything, because we hadn't seen that. So we were walking around Hollywood Boulevard, and I saw this band filming their video for MTV. And so we stood around and watched the band. And all of a sudden, I saw this guitar player standing on top of a convertible with his guitar on, with ripped up jeans, with fishnet stockings underneath, tons of eyeliner, hair sticking out in every direction. And I was like, oh, wow, he's gorgeous. Who is that? And I just kind of stared at him, and he saw me, and we just kind of locked eyes. And then he sent the makeup artist to me and said, the guitar player wants to talk to you. And so I went over to him. And first thing he asked me was, what's your name? How old are you? And I immediately lied, just automatically, and said, I'm 18 and my name's Daniella. And we started dating, and he didn't know how old I was. And then it was time for me to go back to South Africa. And so we said goodbye I said goodbye to my dad at the airport when he dropped us off. And then when it was time to walk through the little tunnel, I put my brother and my sister on the plane, and I turned to them and I was like, I'm not going to go back with you. I'm going to stay with Gilby. And they're like, oh my God, Mom's going to kill you. And I got on the plane, and I took off with Gilby, and nobody knew. I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell my dad. I just took off with him. And my poor mom, she went to the airport to pick up 3 kids and only got 2. So yes, you and I are sisters from another mister, but we don't have the same mom. So we I moved in with him, and I took off with Gilby. And he didn't actually know how old I was until we went to go get our marriage license, and I had to finally come clean and tell him.
Wow. So how long after was that? When did you get married?
6 years. We were together for 6 years, and I never had an ID, and I always had an excuse of why I don't have my ID in front of him. And plus he was, a fairly well-known musician locally, so we never really walked in through the front door. I never got carded for an ID. We always walked in through the back. So it was kind of easy to pull that off. And also it was a different time where IDs weren't as important as they are, post 9/11.
Yeah.
This was 1985. So a long, long time ago. And so when we went to go get our marriage license, I finally said to him, I have something to tell you. And he's like, what? And he was really worried. And I said, well, I'm actually not 23. I'm 21. I've been lying to you this whole time. He's like, oh my God, I had a feeling you never had an ID. You always had a story. So anyways, we got married. And after we got married, we got back from our honeymoon, and our friends sent us on our honeymoon because we really didn't have any money at the time. We really couldn't afford to get married and go on a honeymoon. But we did, and we went to Hawaii, and it was great. And the whole time we were in Hawaii, we were like, oh God, how are we going to pay for all this stuff? And, where are we going to get the money? And we get back from our honeymoon, and I check our messages on our answering machine, because back then that's what you had, is an answering machine.
Yeah, I
and
remember
there was a message on the machine from Slash, and said, hey, Gilby, we want you to come in and audition for Guns N' Roses. And I was like, psh, one of your idiot friends is pretending to be Slash. And so he listened back to the message, and he's like, oh no, that's Slash. And the next thing I know, we just got married, and 2 weeks later, he's joined the world's biggest rock band and was going on tour, and they were all, going out with supermodels. And I was like, uh-oh, now what? But he was really sensible.
Were you
And
threatened by all the models? Because, I mean, women were just throwing themselves, aren't they?
throwing themselves at him, at
Literally.
the guys. Yeah, throwing themselves. Groupies, models, actresses, girls, everybody, everywhere. And so that was pretty, pretty scary to think about. And I was like, I just
Yeah.
married this guy, and now he's going to be out on the road with the world's most like dangerous band with girls everywhere. Where does that leave me? Um,
Yeah.
but thank goodness he was super sensible, and he was, he's a little older than I am. He was close to 30 at that time. And I was just like 21, 22. And he was like, well, the only way this marriage is going to work is if you come with me the whole time. You just have to be with me. And, you just remember it's my job. And, it's like you're entering into my office being on tour. So you have to see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. This is just, you're going to be out with me and that's it. And that's how you can stay on the road. So I was good with that. And it was so incredible because I got to see what most people can only dream of doing. So it was incredible. We went all over the world and met the most incredible people and had the most incredible experiences. But it was also, there were moments where it was lonely, where, I craved just a little bit of normalcy and being home and, being with my friends or my family. So it's just like anything. It's got ups and it's got downs.
Yeah.
Just like anything. But it was an incredible experience. And then that experience, I really believe, led me into where I am today, because the experience of being on tour with a rock band and that freedom that allows to, these musicians, these rock stars, have the freedom to be who they are. And that's actually what's celebrated about them, is their individuality and who they are and the confidence to be who they are. And it really inspired my fashion sensibility, because I've always really had this insane love for fashion. And just being out on the road gave me the freedom to be who I want to be too. I was traveling with this rock band. I could wear those short shorts cut way up my ass. I don't know if
I remember that. They were very short.
Yeah, short shorts with huge platforms, little tube tops, really, just daring and wild outfits, and you can get away with it on the road. And then I saw some old like Woodstock footage of Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. And he was wearing these really super tight jeans that were like really thin, that left nothing to the imagination. You could see everything. And I was like, wow, that's really hot. That's so sexy. Like they're so low. And so then I started taking my own jeans and ripping them apart. I wanted to wear my jeans that way. So I started ripping my own jeans apart and lowering them and making them tight, sexy like that. And then Gilby was like, ooh, do that to my jeans. So I did that for him. Then his friends wanted that. Then, my girlfriends wanted me to do that to their jeans. And I'm kind of a slow learner, so it didn't really dawn on me. And then I would walk around, and in the streets, people would stop me. Girls would stop me all the time and ask me, oh my God, whose jeans are you wearing? I'm like, oh, they're mine. I make them like this, whatever.
Yeah.
And one day I was at the mall, and Frankie was a baby. We had Frankie, and I was at the mall with her. And she was about 4 years old. And this actress, Laura Flynn Boyle, came up to me and she said, excuse me, but who makes your jeans? And I said, well, I do. And she said, oh. And I go, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just make them for myself. And she goes, why are you sorry? Here's my phone number. Call me. I'll pay you to make me a pair. And
wow.
It was like a light bulb. It was like someone bashed me over the head. And I was like, oh my God, I should start my own line. People are willing to pay for it.
Yes.
I went home and I said to Gilby, I think I'm going to start my own line of jeans. I'm going to make these jeans. I think there's other girls out there that would like to wear them low and
Yeah.
sexy and tight. And he was like, yeah, I'll power to you. And at that time, I had done a little bit of modeling, and I was transitioning into styling and photography. And I was doing a lot of fashion photography and music photography and styling on my own, because that's really what was my interest, was more in the styling than anything.
Yeah.
But I really believe that all your little journeys and little jobs over the years and throughout your career kind of contribute to where you end up.
Yeah, totally.
They kind of help, because from years of modeling, I really understood angles. I understood the model's perspective, and I understood lighting. I started understanding from modeling, from styling. I understood clothing and how clothing really contributed to an overall aesthetic. The photography, I started to understand all of that. And so when I started putting my line together, I immediately understood how I wanted it to look, and how I wanted it to be marketed. Like, I started to piece all that together before I even had a garment.
Yeah.
The vision of what the brand looked like, what it stood for, how it was going to be interpreted by the customer.
You also had a niche, and I don't think you even realized that you'd created this niche, or did you realize that you had at that time?
I did realize, because what I was doing, and it's funny, because what I was doing was filling a hole in the market. I had gone out at that time, which is really difficult to do, and it was accidental. Part of it I understood, but part of it I didn't, because how it came out was I wanted low, sexy, tight jeans, and there weren't any in the market at that time. At that time, it was basically like Levi's in the premium denim marketplace. It was Diesel. It was there was a company called Earl. There was another company called Miss 60, but still they weren't making a low, sexy jean. The jeans were higher. They were a little looser fitting, and what I wanted wasn't available. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just make it myself then. I'll just do it. And then when I did it and started getting all this attention for wearing it out and about, that's when I finally thought, oh, well, maybe I should just make them, because nobody has them. Maybe other people will want jeans like this. And so I started doing the research. I started thinking, like, where would someone like me shop to look for a jean like this? Where would she go? Where would that girl go to look for these kind of jeans? What stores would she go to? And so then I started making a hit list of what stores would carry a brand like my jeans.
Yeah.
What would she be willing to pay for that jean? And what do other jeans in that kind of category, in the premium denim market, what do they cost? So so I started doing kind of the research of what stores, and also what stores have high visibility. Like, what stores do the fashion girl, where does she shop? Where does she look for fashion? Where does she look for cutting edge fashion, for fashion that's not out there? Because I had to understand my market. I had to understand who my customer was and how she thought. And so I guess, unbeknownst to me, I was doing my demographic work and didn't even realize it.
Yeah. You had a very entrepreneurial flair.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out my marketing position and my demographics of who my customer base is, without even knowing. I just was trying to be in my own head, like, how would I find it? How would,
Yeah.
what would I look for when I was searching for it? How would I look for it? And what
Yeah.
would I look for? And what would I be willing to pay for it? And so I kind of started working backwards. I figured out who my customer was, how much she'd be willing to pay for a pair of jeans like that. And then I realized what my price point was and where I needed to be in terms of COGS, like cost of goods,
Yeah.
So it's weird, but I worked backwards.
Well, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I still kind of do that, which is so odd.
I do that. I think that's the best way, because then because you never know where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of work backwards. I think that's the best way to do it, because you know what the goal is.
Yes.
So you have to think, well, how am I going to reach that goal?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like logically thinking back. Yeah.
So it's really funny, but so I really started very grassroots. I didn't have much money to start because it was important to me that I didn't use Gilby's money. And I didn't want to use any of like Gilby's clout or anything like that. It was really important to me to accomplish this on my own and do it without.
Why was that? Because you could have. I mean, and I'm sure lots of people are very judgmental, aren't they? Let's be honest. Yeah. I'm sure that so many people thought, oh, well, you achieved this success because of Gilby. And, lots of people even listening in will be like, well, I'm not married to a rock star, so how am I supposed to get in front of all these people, So talk about that a bit more, because I think this gives hope to people who don't have, rock stars.
Yeah, exactly. It was important to me. I was I had always been on the road with him. I went from being in my parents' house at 16 to living with Gilby and, being really young around him, and then being on tour with him and being on the side of the stage and clapping every night and just being supportive of him. And I don't know, something in me wanted to accomplish something on my own, and I wanted to do something that was completely mine and that I could say I did on my own. And so I didn't want to go to him for the money, and I didn't want to go to him for any clout or anything. I didn't want that. I just was very, clear in wanting to make this something that I achieved and that I felt good about. And so I had been doing little odds and ends jobs, and I had just done a commercial for, I was modeling a little bit. So I had just done a commercial for Snickers candy bars. And do you guys have Snickers candy bars?
Yeah, I love Snickers, yeah. I'm trying to be good at the moment, but yes.
Especially frozen. But so I did a commercial. I got cast to do a commercial for Snickers candy bar that kind of was out a lot. It was with this actor, Sean Hayes. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he was in the commercial with me. And so I started getting these residual checks from every time the commercial aired.
Yeah.
And so I got a check for $5,000, and I took the money, and I decided that money was going to go into my new denim project. And I went downtown Los Angeles, which is, for those of you that don't live in LA, downtown Los Angeles it's called the Fashion District. And it's like this little actually hub of a lot of fashion industry people are downtown. There's a lot of fabric outlets. There's a lot of labels and brands that have showrooms down, wholesale showrooms and things like that. So I decided I would just march myself downtown and do the research, do the legwork myself. So the first thing I did was I walked into a bookstore, and I bought a newspaper called the Apparel News. I went to the wanted section, the classified ads, and I looked in there and looked for a pattern maker, a label company, a button company, a zipper company. And I started just doing the legwork, and I started walking around downtown. I went into different fabric companies looking for denim. And I asked them because a lot of the little fabric shops there they're just jobbers, which is people that sell leftover fabric from the mills when that fabric is closed out.
Yeah.
So I would ask them, where did you get this denim originally? And then they told me. And then I reached out to the denim mill and said, can I come in and look at denim? And they were like, well, are you an established company? I'm like, yes, I'm making oh.
Love it. That's so funny. So this point, had you named your company?
Yes. And at that point, I decided to name my company after my daughter. And so my daughter's name is Frankie B. And that's her actual name. And the B stands for our dad's name, which is Barry. So I gave her, our dad passed away right before Frankie was born. And so I always wanted her to kind of talk about him. I wanted to keep his memory alive. And so what I decided to do was name her Frankie B, and that way, and not give her his full name, Frankie Barry. So she goes by that now on her Instagram. She's Frankie Barry.
Yeah.
But I gave her just the initial, because I thought if I just gave her the initial, people would always ask what the B stood for. And that means we would talk about him. And that means we would keep his memory alive. So, and it worked. So I named her Frankie B. And to this day, people always ask, what does the B stand for?
Yeah.
And I get to say it's, my dad's name. So that's how we kept his memory alive.
Amazing. I love that.
And so I named the brand Frankie B. And just because Frankie was such a huge inspiration for me in everything that I do, she just inspires me. And she also drove me. After having her, I had this real drive to do really good and build something that perhaps maybe she could be a part of when she grew older. So I named it Frankie B, and I went and I looked for denim, and I looked for zippers and labels and pattern makers, and I found these people, and I pieced this together, and I made 30 pairs of jeans. I went down my hit list of stores that I wanted to be in. I called a photographer friend of mine and said, would you do me a favor? Would you take pictures of me wearing these jeans that I made? I want to make these postcards. So he shot, his name's Michael Lohr, and he shot these photos of me wearing nothing but the jeans. So I had
naked on top.
No top, nothing. And just my hands crossed over, and I was wearing sunglasses and just the jeans. And I took these postcards. I made a hit list of all the stores I wanted to be in. And I wrote a little note on the postcards and said, this is a new line called Frankie B. I think it would do really well in your store. Please give me a call so I can show you the rest of the collection. The collection was one pair of jeans.
So sell it first. I always say sell it first. Yes, I love it.
Right. That's right. So I made this hit list. I sent the postcard off to everybody. And absolutely nobody responded. I didn't get one phone call back, nothing. And so then I followed it up with a phone call and asked everybody if I could come in and show them these jeans. Nobody really responded to me at all. So then I had this idea. I will just wear the jeans and walk into the stores and demand to see the buyers.
Were you at this point feeling disheartened, or were you still hungry and ready to keep pushing forwards?
No, I wasn't disheartened at all. I just knew that if they saw them on me, they would want them. So it's weird. It's like ignorance is bliss. And I think maybe because I was really young and hungry and
passionate about it.
I just didn't even think about it. And at the time, I just thought, well, if there could be a few women out there that want to buy these jeans from me, I can have a little bit of pocket money and, have my own money, and I don't have to ask Gilby for money. So that was really my goal. And then I just walked into some of these stores. The first store I walked into was a really big store that is really well known in the fashion industry for being very cutting edge. And it's called Fred Siegel. It was on a street called Melrose here. It's still there. And I walked in wearing the jeans. I wasn't even 2 feet into the store before one of the sales girls said to me, "Oh my God, I love those jeans you're wearing. Who makes them?" And I said, "I do." And she goes, "Oh my God, wait a minute. Are you the girl that sent the postcard?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." And she goes, "Stay right there. I'm going to go get my buyer." So she brings her buyer out, and he takes one look at me and he goes, "Oh my God, no, those jeans are illegally low. I mean, they're way too low. How do girls are going to, show something?" And I go, no, they just need to go get a wax. And
you could have had that as another business.
Because you're crazy. No one's going to wear their jeans that low. That's like illegally low. No one's going to wear their jeans like that. And the girls working there were like, "Oh my God, please, please." And he said, "Okay, I'll tell you what. Do you have these jeans with you?" And I go, "I do. I have them in my car." And he goes, "Okay, let the girls try them on in here. And if they look good on them and not just on you, maybe I'll give them a shot." So the girls were so excited. I ran to my car, gave them to the girls. They tried them on. They all came out of the dressing room screaming and yelling. They all wanted them. And he goes, "Oh my God, you fool. Okay, fine. I'll give them a shot. How many pairs do you have?" And I said, "I have 30 pairs in my car." And he goes, "Okay, I'll take them. I'll give them a shot and I'll let you know how they do." And I said, "Okay, but here's where ignorance is bliss. I didn't have any money to fund this line. So I said to him, I'll sell them to you, but I need you to pay me in cash." And he was like, "In cash? I'm Fred Siegel. I'm not paying you in cash. We do net 30. And I was like, "Well, I can't do that because I need the money to go buy more fabric and make more jeans. What if I give you a cash discount? Will you pay me in cash?" And he goes, "Will you take a check?" And I go, "Yeah, I'll take a check." He paid me.
It's like a market stand. You're doing it like on a market stand. Do you think you could do that today?
No.
Like go in and do the cash now. Things have just changed so much now.
Things are so different. Although I think today what people are doing is because the market has changed so much today, and because things are so volatile, like you don't really trust anybody anymore to give them terms unless you are either number one factored, or number two, you ask for a deposit up front, like a 50% deposit, or you ask for a credit card. A lot of vendors are doing that now. A lot of people ask to be paid up front now. So actually it has come back around to that.
Yeah, I only work on a paid upfront basis.
Yeah.
Because it's a nightmare getting money from people if you don't.
It's an absolute
Especially for small businesses. It's very difficult.
Yeah, if you're a small business, you can't rely on anybody paying you on time or actually paying you anymore. So yeah, you do need to ask for some money upfront to cover at least your costs, or ask to be, for COD, cash on delivery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how did you go from selling 30 jeans to, is it 1.5 million jeans you sold?
Well, right? Yeah. So what happened was I sold him the jeans. I sold him 30 pairs. It was on a Friday. On a Monday, he called me up and he said, "Get your head out of your ass. Make me more jeans. I'll take another 50 pairs we sold out over the weekend." And I was like, "What? Oh my God, you sold that?" And he goes, "Yes, get your head out of your ass and go make more." So I quickly went and bought more fabric, made more jeans.
You did them all yourself?
I did them all myself. I was doing everything myself out of like my living room. It was piles of jeans in my living room. And I thought I'd really made it big when Gilby actually cleared a space for me in the garage for me to like work out of there and move my business from the living room into the garage.
And you also had Frankie. So as you were juggling, because she was still quite young then, wasn't she?
And yeah, Frankie and Gilby and my business. And what really broke me was I was making these jeans, and I was delivering them myself. I was making them myself. I was selling them myself. I was marketing them myself. I was doing everything. I was a one-woman show for a long time. And one day I get a call from one of my friends, and she said, "Did you see that Jennifer Lopez is wearing your jumpsuit on the cover of her album, and it's plastered all over Times Square in New York?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And apparently her stylist went into Fred Segal, which I knew that Fred Segal attracted a lot of fashion-y people. I knew that stylists shopped there, and that's why I wanted it placed there, because I knew that if celebrities shop there, stylists, magazines, everybody shopped at Fred Segal. They watched Fred Segal. They scouted Fred Segal to see what was new and what was cutting edge. And I knew that that's who my customer was going to be, someone who wanted to take a risk in fashion, that wanted something really exciting and new that they didn't already have. And so, I kind of figured that out. And so the next thing I knew, the stylist bought my jumpsuit, which had Frankie B right on the front label. On the
Talk about free publicity. That's the best. You can't buy that, can you?
No, it was completely organic. And she put it on Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez wore it on the cover of her album, and it was plastered all over Times Square. And the next thing I knew, I was getting calls from Saturday Night Live saying that they were doing a skit. Jennifer Lopez was their guest, and they were doing a skit, and they needed more jumpsuits because different cast members were going to wrestle her in the jumpsuit. And then my name was all over it. Frankie B was all over it. So the first year I did about $50,000 in sales, which I was just so excited about. I couldn't believe it. And that was just from placement in different boutiques, local boutiques. And I was really excited about that. But by the second year, once it started getting all this publicity, which I didn't even have a publicist, it was just happening organically. That's very different.
Yeah, now, it's very hard to do that now.
Very hard to do that now. I was getting all this publicity. By the second year, I was at $1.5 million. And then starting to have to hire people to help me and build an infrastructure in my company. Had to actually have people working with me. And then by the third year, I was at $6.5 million, and it just took off from there. It just.
Were you still making jeans at that point, or had you stopped?
What do you mean? Like me?
Were you still like making some as well?
No. Now I had a staff. I had a full staff of sewers, pattern makers, sample makers, cutters. Full staff at this point, because now I was so busy with running the business end of it, which I knew absolutely nothing about. So I ended up having to hire people to help me. I think one of the things that I will give myself credit for is that my strength is I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. And what I was good at was I'm an idea person, and I'm very product driven. So I know how to create product, and I know how to come up with ideas. But what I wasn't good at was building an infrastructure within my company, and delegating, and understanding the dynamics of having employees, and also the business end of it, the accounting, the financial, the legal stuff. So what I was really good at was hiring people that were smarter than me. I was
always hire people smarter. Yeah.
Always surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Yes.
Always. And don't let your ego get in the way. Understand what you're good at and understand what you're not good at, and hire people that are really smart to do that.
Yeah.
And listen to them. So I hired accountants and bookkeepers and financial advisors and lawyers and people that could help protect what I had built.
Yeah.
So, but it's also really important along as this is happening to educate yourself and understand what these people are telling you, and understand how to read these reports, P&L statements, and understanding everything was huge. And I was very young at the time. I was 29 years old. So now all of a sudden,
and how were you juggling Frankie as well? How were you managing home life?
It was so hard, and thank goodness I was young and had a lot of energy, because now I think I would just lay on the floor and die and give up.
I can't. Yeah, my energy is like
I know.
dropping.
Yeah, that's menopause is a bitch, but
Yes.
but I just did the best that I could do. And at the time, she was only 4 years old. And Gilby and I really figured out like a system. And
Was he still on tour as well? So
he was coming and going. So when he was home, we would tag team her. He would, I had her enrolled in preschool. So she'd go to preschool in the morning. And I would I'd drop her off at school and jam, it's that hustle. I'd wake up in the morning, make her breakfast, get her dressed, get her off to school. And then while she was at school, I would quickly look at all my emails, run to work, get to the office. I'd work till 1 o'clock, and then she was out of school. So either I would run back and pick her up from school and then bring her back to the office and put little Disney movies in for her on the little TV set in my office and let her watch Disney movies and let her draw. I would get her like set up at my office where I would have crayons and coloring books and things for her to do, like activities and stuff and snacks. And, really she'd come to my office from school and she'd want a nap for an hour. She was little. Yeah. So she'd nap in my office and she'd get up and have a snack, and I would quickly give her a snack and then go into a fabric meeting, put in a video for her. And I knew I had like 2 hours, so I could quickly run and take another board meeting, or take a meeting with my sales rep or whatever. So I juggled, and then I'd come home with her and I'd get her into the bath. I would cook dinner, spend time with Gilby, and I was always exhausted. And I was trying to work out and, keep myself in shape and healthy and strong so that I could do all of this.
Yeah.
But it was tough. And, it's like you and I were talking about this before. It's so difficult as a woman to juggle it all. I wanted to look good. I wanted to be healthy. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good mother. I want to be a good businesswoman. I want to be a good friend, a good daughter, a good sister,
We want it all. Yeah.
You want to do it all, and you want to be great at it all.
Yeah.
But really, you can only give a piece of yourself to everything. You can't, you can't really. I always felt some sort of guilt. Like I always felt like if I wasn't at work, I felt guilty for not being at work. If I was at work, I felt guilty for not being with Frankie. If I was with Frankie, I felt guilty for not being with Gilby. I always felt like I wasn't giving enough of myself to any of it. I felt like I was always kind of stealing time from my work, stealing time from Frankie, stealing time from Gilby, stealing time from my friends. And then that became a real challenge for me, was how to be present when I'm having a conversation with my friends. How do I stay in that conversation and not think about work or and not let my mind race about what's going on?
I think that's such a battle so many people face.
Yeah, it really is.
For me, as I get older, I become better at it. But I think when I was younger, I really struggled with that.
Me too. I really struggled with it. And my relationships really struggled because of it. There were moments where Gilby was like, hey, you know what? Hey, hello. I didn't sign up for all this. You're gone all the time. You're always working. Yeah. You're not working. You're with Frankie. Hello, I'm here too.
Yeah. Was that hard as well? Because, you both had very successful lives. and he obviously made a good income from Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses and stuff. So there was no, I suppose, huge financial need. So was there like a conflict there? Because you were doing this for you weren't doing it for the money. I mean, obviously the money is good, but do you know what I
Well,
mean?
I was doing it for the money, actually, because I understood that nothing is certain and nothing is forever.
Okay.
And at the time, I knew that at some point, what happens when his career hits, a lull? What happens if my
Mm.
career hits a lull? Which it all does. He at some point was not in Guns N' Roses anymore, and now had to figure out something else because Guns N' Roses, he left Guns N' Roses and then they broke up for a while, and there was, he was doing other things. And I also understood that how long would I want to work for? When would I want to retire?
Mm.
I would like to do things that are, that cost money. I want to travel a lot. Maybe I want to have an extra home somewhere. I want to secure our daughter's future. I want to save for college. I don't know how long careers last. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of young people make, is that you think everything's going to last. Everything's going to be forever.
I think I certainly fell into that when I was doing a lot of my influencer stuff, and I was traveling all over the world, and and I was living a very surreal life, and like even speaking at conferences. You think you're on the top and you think it's going to last, and it's a real stroke to the ego when it changes, and you have to control and manage that ego. For me anyway, it's something I have had to really work.
Too. It's a huge blow to the ego. Huge blow.
Yeah.
People are not taking your calls anymore. and you're not, and it's part of your identity. Like Frankie B became part of my identity.
Yeah.
And it people were even calling me Frankie. People didn't even know what my name was because I had this brand, so everybody thought I was Frankie. People would call the office and say, "Can I speak to Frankie?" I'm like, "Well, that's a little tough. She's in kindergarten right now." But you can talk to me. I own the company. That was really, it was a really interesting transition, and I think where mine and Gilby's partnership really, really strengthened, and where I saw the value in it was when we were like on this seesaw, where his career was here and my career was here. Then my career went up higher and his went lower, and we managed to somehow level each other off. And I think that was the real like understanding of what a partnership really is, because we supported each other. Where I was working he was working like crazy. I was on the side of the stage clapping and so happy to be there and so proud of him and so supportive and being out on the road with him. Which of course
what was that like? I mean, I have to obviously ask, because I mean, I only experienced it for a very short period with you guys, which was,
yes, you did.
Even then, I still vividly remember it, and it was such a incredible, surreal experience. I mean, you had that. I just did it, for a week, and you guys, you do that all the time, and people treat you like gods. I can still remember men blowing kisses at me on the stage, saying, "I love you, I love you," and I was a nobody, just dancing on the stage. I mean, you must have had that all the time, and I mean, what was that like? Was it highs and lows?
It was highs and lows. It was really intense and really, really fun. There were times where we just got to do the most incredible things and hang out with the most incredible people. I mean, like, we went to, we chartered, our own private plane, this huge, MGM Grand, and we shared it with the boss, Bruce Springsteen. So when he was touring, he had the plane. When we were touring, we had the plane. We all had our own rooms on the plane. We had our own private chef. We had masseuses. We had, it's not a reality, and you're like, and I'm 22 years old, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. We had police escorts everywhere. We wanted to go see a movie. The movie theater was emptied out, and we got to see movies, just the band, and wives and girlfriends. So we spent time in Paris and went to the Eiffel Tower and with Lenny Kravitz and all these people, and got private showings to everything. I mean, the fashion industry embraced us. Like Gianni Versace, God rest his soul, opened up his design studios to us and told us to pick whatever we wanted. Giorgio Armani. I mean, like, it was not normal stuff. And I think for me, I always understood that it was not normal. I understood immediately that I was really privileged, and I really sucked it all up. I took it all in. I tried to savor every single moment of it because I knew it was really, really, really special. And every hotel we were in and out so fast, because when we were on tour, we would sometimes, I didn't even get to see where we were. Like, for instance, we would the guys would play in Switzerland and they would do a huge sold out show. And then all of a sudden the show is over and you're, escorted into a van. Someone's got I didn't even carry my own suitcases. Someone's got our luggage. Someone's escorting us and driving us to a private airport. We're getting onto our private plane. Luggage is taken care of. I never touched it. We check into a hotel. Our luggage is there. Our stuff is put away. It's a whole different level.
You didn't even have to unpack or pack.
No, you don't have to do anything. Everything is done for you. And food is provided. You've got an itinerary. People tell you where to go. They pick you up. They take you. It's like they're moving you around. It's a whole different level of existence. And so I understood that it was insane. But with that, I also understood that there's a reality and that it ends at some point. This isn't forever. And there's also another element to it of it. It's so unreal that sometimes you just want to be treated real. You want to experience life in reality, so sometimes it can be like a little bit of depression. There can be a little bit of a letdown, and I can see why musicians really struggle, because you go on stage, you're playing to 100,000 screaming, adoring fans who have put so much time and energy to get to your show, and they adore you and they're worshiping you. And you play and they're screaming and they know every word to every song. And then it all ends and you go back to a quiet hotel room. There's nothing going on. And it's such a low and such high highs.
So, do you think that's why there's so much drug use in the music industry?
Totally. Because that's a monkey that jumps on your back and doesn't let go. That's like, it's a really hard thing to balance and to understand and to take in, and especially everyone's young. It's an absolute mind fuck. It really is.
I know. I know. I mean, I only did it for a short period, and that was a mind fuck. So yeah.
So it's really crazy, and you want to just go outside the hotel and go get something to eat. You can't, because you're getting mobbed and people are pulling your hair and pulling at your clothes. And, people want a piece of you. And you're like, but I'm just an ordinary person, So it doesn't make sense. It messes with you.
But
I was really good at keeping Gilby grounded. Whenever he would come home from being out on the road and have everything done for him, he'd come home and I'd be like, okay, can you take out the trash? Change the light bulbs.
What would he say? Would he be happy to do it?
Yeah, and change the light bulbs. And by the way, Frankie's got a poopy diaper, and you need to change that too. I've been doing it this whole time, so now it's your turn. And get up in the middle of the night and give her a bottle, please. And can you pick her up from school tomorrow, because I've got a meeting? So I was really good at grounding him very quickly.
which is what it's what you needed. So that's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
So, and of course, I really love reading autobiographies. So I had read like everybody's autobiography and the wives' autobiographies, like Joe Wood, Ronnie Wood's wife from the Rolling Stone. And I read Patty Boyd's book. She was famously married to George Harrison from the Beatles and Eric Clapton. And so I read all these books and I read all the nightmares and I read all about the girls and the drugs and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm going to do things. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be watching. Of course, you don't know what goes on when you're not there, but you have to trust.
Mm.
And, and just as well as he had to trust me when I was home, because there were moments where I was like, you know what, I've had enough of being out on the road. I want to go home. I want to go see my friends. I want to be in my own place. I want to see my family. I want to do my own thing. So there were moments where I would come home. But yeah, it was, it was a crazy time.
Very crazy. I could talk to you all day. This is so lovely. Daniella, tell us a little bit more about where you are today, what you're doing, and how people can connect with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. Now, I sold Frankie B quite a long time ago now. And then I went on to become creative director of an activewear brand called Solo. I now own Solo with my partner, Lisa. And so I've been very busy, designing Solo and getting all that ready because we're about to launch our new collection. So if you want to check us out, it's called Solo and SOLOW. And our website is solo.us, SOLOW.us, and also our Instagram. I also started a podcast, just like you, with my really good friend, Barbara Ann Wild, who is, just like me, also married to a guitar player, Zach Wild, who plays with Ozzy Osbourne. And so she is married to a musician. She's also my age, and she's also a businesswoman. She manages Zach and works closely with Sharon Osbourne. And it was so funny because I ended up doing a lot of TV shows I got hired to do America's Next Top Model and be a guest judge and do that kind of stuff. And so then I got this TV show called Rock of Love, Charm School, which was originally, it was Rock of Love with Bret Michaels from Poison, where he's kind of like the bachelor looking for his love interest.
Yeah.
And then after that show, there was a spin-off show called Rock of Love Charm School, in which I was cast along with Sharon Osbourne to be judges on that show. So
is she fun to work with?
Oh my God, is she ever? She is so much fun. She had me in stitches the whole time because I was supposed to be like stern, like putting these girls through charm school. So we were supposed to be like, they had mistresses and deans and, schooling these girls, but we were both, completely upheaval going on behind the scenes. And she was whispering things in my ears that were so wild, and I'm just losing composure, and I'm supposed to be composed. She would crack me up every day. She's amazing. I love Sharon Osbourne. And but the funny thing is that she works with Barb, and Barb and I didn't even know each other at the time. And then somehow Barb and I connected through a mutual friend, and we started talking, and we started realizing that our text messages back and forth, everything we talk about was about trying to stay young, trying to maintain our youthful looks, and trying to be, aging. And so we were always talking about procedures and, about Botox, lasers, all kinds of different treatments and products that we could use to try and stay young, because we were both like, obsessed with it. And then one day I was like, Barb, maybe other people would like to hear about these conversations that we have, because we talk a lot about music and being married to musicians, and we talk about business, and we talk about aging and sex and menopause and our kids and current events, everything. We really, nothing is off the table. We talk about everything. So we started this podcast called Honest as Fuck, Honest AF. And we've been doing that. And so, and we're just loving it. Like, I love having these like frank, honest, open conversations. And I love talking about things that are a little taboo that some people don't even talk about. Like we talk about like what it's like to, you know, be married for 30 something years, and how do you keep that fresh, and how do you keep that exciting, and how do you keep it sexy, and you know, and as you're aging and as your body's aging and changing, how do you still feel sexy about yourself, and how do you still feel good, and how do you still feel healthy, and how do you manage, you know, the changes that are going on in today's world, in business and in yourself, and how do you acclimate to that? Like how do you change, like from everything I knew in business is out the window now because it's completely different. Marketing is so different now. There's, you know, there's almost no such thing as organic anymore. Everything is like, you know, marketing and pushing, and how do you market without cramming it down people's throat, and being an authentic brand, and how do you build sustainability into your brand, because that's also really important now as we see the world is changing, our environment is changing. So there's so many things to adapt to and so many things to like discuss, and we could go on for hours. So
amazing. Daniella, thank you so much. Guys, please do check out Daniella's links, and I'll put them in the episode as well so that you can
that'd be awesome.
Find her. Thank you so much.
Find me on Instagram, Daniella Clarke Style.